Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast with Michael Cole and Matthew Cravat. I am Michael Cole.
And I am Matthew Cravat.
I was just telling Alex when we were in between episodes and getting ready, but obviously we can talk about some of the more historical elements that I think are kind of fairly well-treaded ground as far as the origins of certain pieces of Christian
Witchcraft's Pisces.
Sure. Anyway, but the thing that made me put this topic on, which tonight's topic is the connection between Christianity and paganism. And so, having been raised Catholic, it's my information is going to be fairly specific to Catholic Catholicism and paganism.
And Catholicism is pretty much paganism. I mean, you got 45 different statues of saints that you're praying to. Hey, St. Christopher, I need an extra $10. Hey, St. Anthony, I need to get laid tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, St. Agora, I need a new sweater, whatever it is.
Angora. I like that you knew none of the saints.
No, I know none of the things.
Those are you had two saints' names, right?
I know the names.
I think Saint Christopher is the
okay,
saint
Christopher. I need a medallion.
He's
the god of medallions, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so so tonight's topic is going to be somewhat oriented towards Catholicism, but I think that obviously a lot of this intersection takes place before the Protestant Reformation, so it probably applies.
I heard it both ways.
You've heard it both ways? Yeah. Transforming the faith?
Yeah, I always love that line. And it's weird, because for me, this is going to be esoteric, because, I grew up in the there's only one God and we don't believe him branch of Judaism.
Yeah. Oh my God, I did hear a good comedian recently talking about how the Torah and is it the Talmud?
It is the Talmud.
And he's like, this is your Old Testament. This is all the Old Testament stuff. And he goes,
Talmud's not the Old Testament, but Torah is. Okay.
Sure. And he goes, this is all Old Testament stuff, and people want to Christians want to pick and choose what they believe in or what they follow from the Old Testament, which the things that you're used to hearing about are being gay is wrong, but so is shellfish, and for some reason there's those. He goes, but you know what else the Old Testament tells you that you should do that no Christians do? Be Jewish. He's like, it's very specific that you are supposed to be Jewish. I just thought it was a good joke. So the reason why this topic came up was I've been reading a lot lately, and I read 2 books in a row in which it was over a short period of time, Matthew, because I just
know how fast you read. So I'm like, in the last 3 years, I read 2 books in a row.
The books I was reading I read one in a week and a half. The sequel to The Shining, Dr. Sleep. I read this book in 9 days, 10 days.
That's a lot of reading. Did you read 8 hours a day?
I was reading a lot. It was addictive. Yeah. The book before that, however, was I'm going to totally space on the name of it. A good book, and I will add it in the show notes.
A good book. That's the Bible.
A good book, not the good book. It was Sarah's favorite book of all time. Not great, not well written necessarily, but a good story. But the thing that made me kind of want to talk about this is that book takes place in a year or so before the potato famine in Ireland, and deals with Catholics, and those Catholics believe in ghosts and seers and fairies and curses and all these things that are not
all the Irish cultural mythology is just blended,
right?
Kind of like voodoo blends Christianity with island beliefs.
Sure. And then the Dr. Sleep, there's a character who's from Italy who is devout Catholic, as far as I remember her being described, and then she believes in ESP or whatever, however they refer to it in that book.
The Shine.
Well, they don't. The people who shine do, but that character does not refer to it as the Shining. So I was like, oh, there's a lot, because I was raised Catholic, and there's both books had Catholic characters believing in shit that I was kind of expressly told we're not supposed to believe in. But it's funny that you mentioned how like voodoo mixes Christian stuff with paganism, because you know what else does that? Christianity does that a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'd say
Like,
I went to a funeral once for a Baptist girl who had taken her own life after a large bout of depression and shit going wrong in her life. And the minister talked about how well worn her Bible was and how she had circled things and wrote in the margins, wrestling with her problems. And I'm thinking, not a great commercial for your church or your book, because it didn't work. I mean, so yay.
yeah,
But then he had to go out of his way to say, and it's okay that she took her own life. That's not a mortal sin for us. That's Catholics. Because like people, the Catholic stuff is so ingrained in American way of life, because Jews and Catholics do all the media. So every religion in every TV show is Catholic religion. It's always people who live from New York, and it's Catholics and Jews, and and their classic horror movies are always the devil, but priests versus the devil. It's never a Baptist minister versus the devil. So except for Stephen King, who usually has Catholics and Protestants who hate each other in all of his stuff. But that's the thing, like where people don't even know what their religion's supernatural mythology is, because culture blends so many things together on top of them.
Yeah, yeah, and that is, it's we get into that every year when there's the war on Christmas.
Oh shit! I didn't even get my assignment yet of where I'm fighting.
You are on the apex front.
I'll be seeing you at Coles.
But the war on Christmas every year for, it's got to be close to 20 years we've been talking about the stupid fucking war on Christmas.
I mean, yeah, it was Bill O'Reilly, I think, invented it.
Yeah.
Though actually, there's stuff even further back, but he made it. But the popular version of it, the current version.
Yeah, but everybody wants it during that process, and I actually don't love the argument, but I think that there's a fair point to be made, which is, most people don't even know that like the Christmas tree comes from a Saturnalia Yule log, and
the Yule log is not a Christmas thing; it's the Yule log.
Yeah. And Logan, at one point, Logan and I were talking in the last 3-4 months, and about Jesus's birthday.
Yeah, Jesus was born in Israel underneath a pine tree.
Yeah,
with lots of ornaments.
Yeah, but even the fact that it's on December 25th is a co-opting of that's Saturnalia, right? I'm pretty sure.
It's
Double
close
check
to it.
on that.
Yeah, it's close to the
And they did that because it was like, this is already a holiday. We can kind of, when Constantine was converting the Roman Empire, he wanted to make it easy basically for people to convert by saying like, hey, you can keep your holidays, and we'll add Christmas to the list of what this means.
Just tweak why you do the same cultural things you were doing, but do it for a different reason. Now call it this.
Yeah.
So I heard the reason they picked December 25th specifically as a day was because there was a thought that great prophets or something died on the same date they were conceived, and since they knew he died around March 25th, like Easter time, like they had a date for that would mean he would have been conceived in the end of March, so then he would have been born the end of December.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I don't remember where I even heard that. It was pre-YouTube, so it wasn't a YouTube video, but it was something like that. I kind of think of here's the story, because the Bible says like the shepherds were out in the fields with their sheep, and they wouldn't have been out in the fields even in the Middle East in December. Like it was clearly spring that he was born, because that's the way they describe it.
Yeah, this whole thing could have been solved by if Jews had become Christians and kept all of the importance of Judaism to them. Because Jews did such a good job of nailing down the exact day Adam was created.
The Romans did a great job of nailing down Jesus, I'm just saying.
See, I was going with the like, how did we, like, we know the day that, like, we know, because it's Yom Kippur is the day Adam was supposed to be created, right? Or am I getting the wrong holiday? Rosh Hashanah.
Maybe I'm with you. Fine. Actually, it's a day it's a day of atonement when you you fast to forgive yourself from your internal sins, so you can have a good day of year. But if that mystically is attached to the day of Adam, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't know that, but that definitely could be.
I'm sorry. It's Rosh Hashanah.
Okay, which is the same thing. Same thing.
Okay.
Yom Kippur is the end of Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the New Year's. 10 days later is Yom Kippur. It's kind of a period piece.
Yeah. So the fact that Rosh Hashanah is, and I know that as far as I know, there's no Jewish. There's probably some, but there's not it's not a big thing that we've heard of as Jewish young Earth people. However, Judaism has, what is it? Is this the year 5,000 something or other?
It is 5,7 something.
So they're saying that on like Rosh Hashanah is the 5,700 whatever year anniversary of the day that Adam was created. Is the way that I was explained to me. Now, I don't think
it is 5785 right now. Today is the 27th of Tishri, 5785. We are recording this.
Oh, okay. Are we in Rosh Hashanah right now?
No, it ended a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yom Kippur was a week and a half ago.
Oh, okay. No, I clicked. Oh, okay. I clicked into the Wikipedia article about it, and it said October 29th, but it's actually just telling me today's date.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like, oh, that's weird that we happen to be talking about this.
I think Yom Kippur was the 11th, maybe.
Yeah. And so obviously, like I heard this. See, I'm seeing nothing to back up what I just claimed. So be skeptical, everybody, because I apparently was wrong. But I had been told that Rosh Hashanah was the anniversary date of Adam coming. Now, I think that's it's fine to have that when you're not really believing specifically that the Earth is 5,000 whatever years old. But I just thought it was interesting that I had heard that they claimed to know the exact date based on all the specifics in the Bible, that they were able to say, okay, if this is this, like he lived 2 generations, so that's 30 years. This, and they went back. That's what I've been explained. How it's been explained to me. Then, if we had that kind of ridiculous over analysis to get to the day that Jesus was actually born and the day that Jesus actually died, that would have been interesting. So we could look it up. Unlike when Doc Brown types into the DeLorean, or if you want to witness the birth of Christ, and he types in December 25th, 0000, which I know he's doing for comedic effect, and I don't take Doc Brown seriously.
Maybe in his dimension, that's true, though.
Maybe, but maybe in his dimension it's pronounced a gigawatt instead of a gigawatt.
Could be. The things are different. There are some slight differences. Maybe it's because Doctor Who changed the word gravity to mavity.
I think it would be really fun to make a classic movie like Back to the Future. And then every single time you find out a new piece of science that refutes it, or even like pronunciation, you just go back and George Lucas style tweak that so that everyone remembers gigawatt, and it's like 1.21 gigawatts, and you're like,
"Oh man, the Mandela effect people would have a field day."
Yeah,
I swear, when I was a kid, it was gigawatt.
The tachyon particles. Just like slowly update it so that it's never
it's in a cyber truck instead of a DeLorean.
Yeah, I am not actually calling for that.
There was a moment like that, actually, not like that, but similar in my head, in the original Quantum Leap TV series, not the reboot, where there's a real a couple of connected episodes where Sam is at first he's Lee Harvey Oswald trying to shoot Kennedy, and then he last second jumps out of Lee Harvey Oswald into a Secret Service agent trying to save him. And he knows he's about to get shot because he was just in Oswald's body. So he goes running and he dives across. He's the guy who you see dive across the car in the real video. And he doesn't save him, obviously. And he's in the hospital feeling like, I'm a failure. I had a chance to save him and I couldn't. And Al is like, yeah, but I know your memory is not great. you saved her, and they point at Jack Kennedy, and it's like, in the regular history, she died. You've changed history to save her, and it's like, oh, that's cool. That's the first time they've had a big historical event that his universe was different than ours, or we are in the post-change universe because we all remember her living.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice. Yeah. I watched the first episode with Logan because he liked the reboot, and then he was not into the first episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Come on, man."
Yeah. But in Christianity, I don't think they redo the special effects. It does, like, the book kind of stays the same a lot.
Yeah, which is weird. They for the first couple hundred years there was a lot of revision, and then there hasn't been a whole lot. I guess the Council of Nicaea people had shit on lock, and that's why. So anyway, obviously there is a lot of paganism in the date and iconography of Christmas, but it's in other things too. Obviously, it's in Easter. Easter's one of those things where people make those same like dad jokes about how I don't know how you get eggs from a bunny.
Let me say, I was Googling real fast, and I found on Chabad.org, which is like our version of crazy fundamental evangelists in Judaism, that Rosh Hashanah is memorializing the birth of Adam. So you did not make it up.
Oh, okay, good. Throw that in the Trello so that I can add it to the show notes, so that I don't look like a buffoon.
Well,
you're making us look like a fool. Do you know what I'm quoting? What movie I'm quoting from that? Do you want to look like a fool?
I'm perfectly happy to look like a fool, so I don't know what you're talking about.
No, you look like a fool. Why aren't you looking at me? You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. Totally lost.
And anyway, so Easter, we talk about the Easter. People go like, oh, what the Easter bunny and eggs and it's obvious. Once you learn it, it's obvious like how it all connects. I think it's easy to remember is Easter. It comes from, and there's a whole bunch of different ways to spell it, but it's a pagan goddess of fertility and spring, and her symbols were a bunny because bunnies are very fertile, and eggs because eggs are symbols of fertility. And
I don't want to be that guy, but are we sure that's true? I know people say a lot that the word Easter comes from oyster or whatever, the goddess, but
Ishtar, Ostara.
But I've also read that that's bullshit. That's coincidental, and people like to say that just to say that. So I don't know what's true, because I've heard that that's not where it comes from. It comes from a different root completely, but they sound the same. So somebody said, "Hey, they're the same," and came up with like, here's 10 things that are similar, and they're not even accurate about the old religions. They're just people put together lists to smash Christianity stuff, and some of it's true, but some of it ain't, and they just.
According to Google's AI overview.
Oh well, Google's never wrong.
Yeah. As Christianity became more popular, many pagan customs were integrated into Christian festivals. For example, the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD decided that Easter should be celebrated on the Sunday following. Oh, so that's a different thing. Following the spring equinox. The fact that it's the equinox is let me see. There are actual reference links here, I believe. So the word Easter comes from the pagan goddess of spring and fertility, also known as Ostara or Istre. The goddess was associated with bread marked with a cross to celebrate the
factcheck.afp.com says Easter not derived from names of ancient Mesopotamian goddess.
Oh.
And then you got to be careful. I don't know who's correct.
Catholic Answers on Catholic.com. Easter likely comes from Old English word Istre, which was a reference to springtime or dawn. Which actually, if that's true,
it's still definitely true that a lot of the non-religious parts of it, if we don't critique the Jesus death and resurrection story, that's not our place to be right now, right? Because people still say that came from this myth, and let's forget that. Maybe true, maybe not. If we just talk about Easter eggs and
bunnies.
the other Easter, all the other things that we associate in America, at least as Easter, those certainly all came from different pagan things that have nothing to do with the Christ story.
And they make sense coming from fertility, bunnies and eggs,
they're
as
spring
opposed to
fertility ritual things.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear David Sedaris tell his story Easter Wings?
No,
it's great to find. I mean, you could read it, but I think it's better hearing him say it because he reads his own material so well. It's Easter Wings, but it's about him learning French in France, taking like French as a second language as someone who moved to France, and when they're doing different things, it's a multicultural class, people from different countries, and the teacher says, what talk about Easter in French. And he was all proud of himself. He goes, oh, I know. And he goes, in Easter, and he's in French saying, you have the bunny and he brings the egg and you hide the egg. And everyone's like, what the fuck is he talking about? Because that's just totally an American thing and nobody knows what he's talking about. And then in France, they're like, no, the bell comes flying through the Easter bell comes flying with wings into your house, in Easter. Like, the Easter bell, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like everybody, like nobody understands each other's rituals because none of them have anything to do with Jesus. So it's just purely cultural how your spring festivals were. And he tells it hysterically well because it's his story, obviously. But I highly recommend anyone, even with that spoiler, it's only one little piece of the story. It's not the focus of the story. The focus is the class, not the Easter part. But that's my favorite part. And the last line is one of the best last lines in short fiction. Or I guess it wasn't 100% fiction. It's based on a true story, but short essays at least.
So,
but to your point, the Christmas celebrations and the Easter celebrations are very much taken from other holidays because it was easy to assimilate, regardless of whether the original religious stories were or what event. And I don't think that's above our pay grade as amateur historians.
Right. And also there's a lot of it that logically makes sense more so than it being in any way connected to Jesus. Like fertility, and it is based on spring equinox. So those things make sense together.
For that part of the country, that part of the world, also, we should say, if it was in the southern hemisphere, it wouldn't have been that time of year.
Sure, yeah. Yep. I was going to say, so back to...
That's what I used to say, I'm not a good Jew in any means, shape, or form. At least the Jewish holidays, the shit is related to the stories. That's why our holidays suck, because they are related to the stories directly. We don't get to embellish them, Like, Hanukkah,
What about the Hanukkah armadillo?
I don't have an Hanukkah armadillo. Do you
know what I'm talking about?
No.
On Friends, Ross's kid is Jewish, but his ex-wife isn't Jewish, so he wants something to compete with Santa. He doesn't want to have the lame holiday, so he creates the Hanukkah armadillo.
Nice.
So that is his kid's name Ben, I think.
Which is Jewish for son.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. So they ran out of. Alex is telling us that it is. It's because they ran out of Santa costumes. I thought it was. I misremembered and thought that it was because
he probably justified it as, why is it an armadillo? Well, it's the Hanukkah armadillo. That was justification for why it wasn't a Santa. Gotcha. Thank you, Alex, for chiming in with your 1990s TV sitcom trivia knowledge.
Here's a fun fact about Friends, by the way. I have never gone back and rewatched almost any episode of Friends, so anything that I pull from knowledge, which I can do a decent amount of Friends knowledge, is from when I watched it while the show was still on air. It doesn't mean it was the original airing of the episode, but like I have never watched an episode since. I watched the first 2 episodes trying to get back into the show a few years ago and was like, eh. But since the show went off the air, I have never watched more than 2 episodes. I don't
recall if I watched it first run or not. Like maybe we watched it. Like I definitely don't think it was one of our shows that we watched, but we certainly may have watched it on occasion. Like it was on and we watched it. Yep. Most of my Friends knowledge comes from my daughter watching it on Netflix, and like when I'm in the room and it's on, or she's watching clips on YouTube. So I have lots of random knowledge from episodes. I just don't know what order they go in, and it's certainly not all inclusive.
Yeah.
But I tell a quick story of I was on a business trip and I brought my DVD, because I had a DVD player built into the computer, of This Is Spinal Tap, the DVD. Because there's tons, hours and hours and hours and hours of unused footage. I won't say deleted scenes because they were improvised scenes and they just took pieces of it, but he gives like the raw footage.
This is related. This is related to paganism.
Okay. So anyway, I have the DVD in my computer because I'm watching it at night in my room. And during the day, I'm in a hospitality suite that the company has set up for people to work in when they're not on the floor of the convention that we were at. And I'm with another guy, and I turn my computer on, and the DVD plays. And hey, lucky I didn't bring porn. I brought Spinal Tap, right? Because all of a sudden Spinal Tap comes up my screen. And this guy goes, "Oh man, I love them. Spinal Tap is so good." And I said, "Yeah, it's great." And so he's talking about he has the albums. I said, "Yeah, the albums are great. They're funny and they're good music." He's like, "Yeah." And I said, "What's really great about the DVD is instead of an actor's track talking about when they filmed it, they're in character." So it's like David St. Hubbins going, "Oh yeah, I remember when the camera went off. I got so drunk," and they're telling stories as if they're still in character. And he goes, "What do you mean in character?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, it's not Michael McKean and it's not Christopher Guest." And he's like, "What?" He 100% thought it was a real documentary and they were a real band because he had the albums. He had no clue that it was a mockumentary, like zero. He didn't understand. And I'm like, "Did you not see the director in it? It's Meathead from All in the Family. I mean, he's famous." Like,
yeah. I forget who it was. I want to say it might have been Ozzy, but I could be wrong on that. That was like sitting down in a hotel for the evening after like a long night of partying, puts on the TV and Spinal Tap's on the TV and watches it for like 15 to 20 minutes, being like, "I've never heard of these guys, but they're great," and like not realizing it's a mockumentary because it's so realistic in certain ways, which is such a good story. That does relate though to
what works if you ever saw Mighty Wind, which was the folk music version of it, which I think they have the band that they were originally they were before they were Spinal Tap, but
they toured together too.
Yeah,
they toured and they would go in and then they would change outfits and come back out.
Yeah, people were booing them because like, why is this folk group here before the Spinal Tap? But when I saw Mighty Wind, I started on a business trip again in Chicago. I left my group, I left work early to go see it because like it may never come to Raleigh. It was a small film. And it was my life growing up. Like my dad was a folk musician. Everybody in the movie was a type of folkie that I knew growing up. I was like, "Oh, that's Murray. Oh, that's Mike." And it's like everybody had a alignment. But it is related to the topic of religion and mythology and superstition.
Because I think the problem is we have what is it? We have a Stonehenge monument that is in danger of being crushed by dwarves.
It does relate to Druidism. You're right.
I wish I could show that movie to Logan, although I think he'd be like, "This is boring."
I don't look Druish.
Yeah.
I should lend you the DVD if you don't have it, just to watch the deleted scenes. Like not to watch the movie, just to watch the deleted scenes because it's all gold. It's all gold.
When Sarah and I started dating, we went and I had, I don't know if I got it from Netflix or what. I put it on, and we were with my mom, and my mom's good with comedies, and Sarah didn't want to watch it. We put it on, and my mom just starts shitting on it. And my mom has seen it, and my mom thought it was hilarious when she watched it with me when I was like a late teenager. And she used to tell, like, I think she's the reason I watched it. I think she told me how good it was. But she's, like, shitting on it because either she forgot or she just wanted to be, like, cool because Sarah didn't want to watch it. And she's like, "This isn't funny." And I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
I remember all the time my friend brothers being like, "The question you have to ask is, how much black could it be?" And the answer is none. None more black.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, we don't have to get too far into that because we could just start quoting.
I could all night. So tell me more about how Christianity is stupid.
I'm not saying it's stupid. I don't actually want to use this as an anti-Christianity topic. I want to use this as a...
it's what sucked as a Jewish kid growing up is because our holidays are boring. Our holidays are pretty much a retelling of the story. And then, something like, okay, there was oil involved in the resanctification of the temple, so we will light candles and eat food cooked in oil. Yay, fried potatoes and jelly donuts are good. But for the most part, not much excitement. Some of the stories were cool. Like you tell, it's stories of warfare and fighting and killing and dying. So the stories were cool. Better than a baby's born and someone played drums for it. But
that's true.
But the rituals weren't fun.
Yeah. The paganism definitely brings a funness to it. I will say that there's a lot of more Christian purists who find Easter and specifically Good Friday to be really satisfying. Like
I mean, a Good Friday is pretty good.
Alex DeLarge and Mel Gibson are both really into, like, they get big old boners for how bad Jesus suffered, allegedly, on Black Friday. Black Friday.
To be fair, Mel Gibson likes when any Jew suffers.
True. I just wanted to compare him to Alex. You know who Alex DeLarge is?
Our producer.
No. Do you really not know, or are you?
He's Rebecca De Mornay's cousin.
No, he's the main character from Clockwork Orange, the Malcolm McDowell character.
Okay, it's been so long. I never read it, and it's been so long since I've seen it. I don't remember the.
There's a scene in the movie where Alex is in jail after accidentally killing the old lady.
They make him watch all the torture stuff to brainwash him.
Yeah, but this is before that, and he's an assistant to the priest or the vicar or whatever. I don't know C of E stuff as much, but and he's reading the Bible in the prison library, and he looks like he's really, like, neatly dressed in his, like, little, like, suit with the, like, short sleeves and stuff, and he looks so proper and prim and proper, and he's, like, reading it, and he has this look of calm and peace over him, and then it cuts to him imagining what he's reading, and it's Pontius Pilate beating the shit out of Jesus, but he is Pontius Pilate, and so he's like whipping the shit out of him, and so he's like, that's what's bringing him peace, is that he gets to murder Jesus and so, like, it's really psychotic, like genuine psychotic, not like using that word over. So that's why I wanted to compare Mel Gibson to that, because
I think it's a little rough on Alex to compare Mel Gibson to him.
You get what you get. I think that paganism is, so we have this, Christianity has this relationship where it has kind of folded in a lot of pagan stuff to bring in pagans, but it's similar to any other assimilation process where it's like, at the beginning we want that as a way of we want to take some of your identity to erase your identity. So, like, if you're pagan now, that is, like, some hardcore shit that, like, Christians don't want to deal with, and, like, oh, you're into Wicca or you're into other, pagan things, and, like, fuck that. However, in the past we've folded it in, and so it's similar to, I think I would say that, there's a great comedian, I will look him up and add him to the thing, but he says, that in the Klan there's definitely people who have gotten in trouble at the Klan for eating some shit they weren't supposed to be into. Like, I really like the Korean barbecue place down the street. Christianity does that a lot, where they're like, well, yeah, we're going to incorporate the tacos, but we want to erase your Mexican identity.
It's cultural appropriation in the purest form of it, which is, when the things we like about it, we're going to steal and say it's so part of our culture now, it's not even recognizable as being from yours, and yours is wrong.
And we want to deny that it was we want to deny that your culture.
And we can't even do it in a way, like, I mean, American tacos, you can't get in a real Mexican restaurant. There's no ground beef cooked with, a spice mix and water.
I want to correct you. There is no such thing as American tacos. There are tacos, and then there is white people taco night.
Yeah, I was just saying what they call what white people call tacos, which even in my house we like to do it. But when you're cooking up ground meat, like, no, it's not ground meat in many real Mexican restaurants. But regular Mexican restaurants do it because it's what Americans want to eat. Like, Chinese food in America is often not things from China. It's stuff that Americans will eat that have a Chinese influence to it.
Right. And that's fine, but, like, that would be similar to us, like, opening an American food restaurant, having egg rolls, and then being like, we don't have any Chinese shit here, like, and I know the egg rolls are probably an American version. I understand that, but, like, essentially saying, like, like, we, there is a denial of the origin altogether, in the origin culture altogether, which I think is an interesting. It's we don't see it as specifically in most other walks of life.
Well, think about the most American food in the world, hot dogs, and we don't acknowledge that, it's a German sausage that America threw it on a bun for the first time.
Yeah. I think that, but people, yeah, I guess that's a good point.
But you wouldn't think it's German food. Do you like German food? If you haven't been to German restaurants, you're like, no, I don't eat German food. Well, you eat hamburgers and frankfurters. I mean, that's German food. You just don't identify it as that because we have so absorbed it. It's considered American.
Yeah. True. That is true.
I mean, like fried chicken, the most American thing in the world, except, fried chicken cutlets predates America. Every European culture and Asian cultures have, breaded and fried chicken of some sort.
Yeah. I actually like fried chicken, but I really like a chicken cutlet better, like in any other form.
I'll tell you, the first time we started eating at Mezzaluna Italian restaurant here in Apex, and in their heroes, they had the classic Italian chicken cutlet, which is just the same chicken breast that you would pound thin and fry to make chicken parm, but just with like lettuce, tomato, onion, on a hero without any sauce or cheese. And the first time my daughter had it, she didn't like chicken parm, she didn't like it saucy and cheesy. She was like, "This is so much better than any fried chicken sandwich I've ever had anywhere ever." Like, it is the fried chicken sandwich now. She wants fried chicken. She wants Italian food because she wants a chicken cutlet sandwich.
Nice. Are you guys sauce on your pasta people, or are you like, I'll have a little dollop on a
pasta you finish cooking in the sauce?
Remember that thing you said a couple weeks ago about us being food soulmates or whatever?
Sarah, I make a lot of pastas. If I'm cooking, I make stuff in the Instant Pot where I'm cooking the sauce and the pasta like it's crushed to me. Taking Parmesan tomatoes, crushing them, putting them in, like sautéing vegetables, putting crushed Parmesan tomatoes in it, putting chicken stock or beef stock in it, or wine, and water, and then pasta, and pressure cooking the whole thing together. Yeah. So you feel like it's a bastardized bolognese, but it does it in half an hour instead of 4 hours simmering.
Sarah and I have been together 14 years next week, and in 14 years we've had the fight. Like, I used to joke that, like, if we ever got divorced, that would be the reason, over whether or not you put sauce, like when you make pasta for a bunch of people and it's sitting in the pot or the serving dish or whatever, you sauce it so that it doesn't clump together. Mm-hmm. And her whole family thinks I'm a fucking psycho
because, like, the Norman Rockwell pictures is white pasta with tomato sauce spilled down the middle, not even enough sauce. But, like, the whole reason that you cook pasta al dente is not to eat it al dente; it's to put it in the sauce to finish cooking the rest of the way.
But her whole family like knocks me on it.
My best friend owned a Sicilian pizzeria, Italian restaurant. I mean, I grew up on this.
Her whole family.
When he opened his own restaurant, they cooked almost to al dente, I guess, all these different pastas, would have them in plastic bags, like serving size. And so for New York City lunches, when people order a pasta, you order the pasta, you order the sauce. They had the sauces ready. They threw that in a pan, heated it up, open the plastic bag and put it in, and just heat it up through and finished it cooking real fast in the sauce. So in 3 minutes, you had whatever pasta in homemade slow cooked sauce, but made in 5 minutes for serving.
Well, pasta without sauce doesn't have much flavor at all. It's like having, back to last week's topic an hour ago, it's like having a postage stamp on a giant canvas. Like, I want the full art. I want everything.
So my Jew version of that is, if you look at the directions for making matzo balls on the back of a matzo ball soup or a matzo ball mix, it says to make the matzo balls in water and then put it in the bowl and pour your chicken soup over it. And the reason for that is so it doesn't dissolve in the soup and make the soup cloudy. So you can have nice, clear looking soup that doesn't have things floating in it. But as our producer Alex said, it doesn't taste good that way. So whenever I do it, I put scoops of better than bouillon chicken stock in that water. So I cook it separate to avoid the cloudiness, but I cook it in chicken stock, the matzo ball, so they absorb chicken stock rather than just absorbing water, because that matzo meal and water has no flavor.
Nice.
People always rave, and like older relatives rave always when I was, especially back in years when I saw them more often pre-pandemic and stuff, about how good my matzo balls were. I'm like, yeah, because they're full of chicken soup. I would buy, before Better Than Bouillon, I would buy a box thing of chicken bouillon, chicken stock, just to cook the matzo balls so that they had flavor.
Nice.
Because I grew up with Italians, so adding flavor was important. But my mother would do, when my mother made like just rice, minute rice or whatever, rice on the table, she always used chicken stock instead of water, so our rice was always flavored rice.
Nice. That sounds good.
My
hungry.
Cook.
This is what the problem. There's a problem with a double. Do we have anything else to talk about with paganism? I don't want to cut us too short, but
I mean, the one thing I'll also say though is I don't think that there's anything wrong with cultures. I mean, the part about demonizing the thing that you absorbed is I don't like, but the part of absorbing it, I don't even see a problem with. I'm saying that that part of it, like people use that as a tax on Christianity sometimes. Oh, the Easter Bunny is this, and I don't even think that's. I think that's cultural things that are. Why not have that as part of your holiday celebration? I think that's fine.
I think that makes sense, and we're talking about
as an outsider, as a double outsider, as a Jew and an atheist. I think it's fine.
A Jatheist, but we're talking about with
or a rationalist,
with a culture,
as we would say, but
a culture, culture absorbing or a thing, but like also like if you're one culture and you marry another culture, your shit gets mixed. You get what did you call your kids? Because
they're Hindus.
Hindus, and so you get like, oh, we have I don't know.
So my buddy Mikey, when we first were becoming friends, and like we knew each other, we were acquaintances. He was taking classes from my comedy group, but then eventually we started becoming actual real friends. And his wife was famous for making Christmas fudge for everybody, and she said, I'm going to make Christmas fudge for Matthew and his wife. And Mikey goes, well, I mean, he doesn't celebrate Christmas. He's Jewish. She goes, well, I'll make it for that other thing, the Jewish Christmas. And then he had to explain, the Jewish Christmas came first. Like, it's really, Christmas is the Christian Hanukkah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they're really only compared to each other, though, because they fall in the same time of year.
1,000%. Hanukkah is one of the least important holidays. It's such an unimportant holiday. We make a big deal about it in America because it pisses Christians off. I mean, because it's the same time of year.
But this could be a very Christian-centric view of it. But the way that it was always explained to me by an aunt that I have, that not one of the ones you met, was that like at some point Christmas looked so awesome during the like early part or mid part of last century, 1900s, that that Judaism kind of said Jewish kids would be like, we want to celebrate Christmas, and they're like, well, let's make Hanukkah cool. Like it was like a lot of religious stuff is marketing. So
the Hanukkah presents is so American the way that it's done. Like in European it was, or in Israel they don't give presents the way we give presents to rival Christmas. 100%.
Yeah. Agree. All right, you got anything else before we start doing the sign offs?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. Me neither. Actually, I do want to just say real quick to our viewers and stuff.
Sauvage.
How would you pronounce this? Sauvage. Swavage is what I think. I think it's Swavage with Johnny Depp in it.
Rico.
It does.
Suave.
It does smell decent. It doesn't smell Swavage. Alex, you can't because nobody can hear you. But yeah, we should make something where we can stitch this. How do we pronounce this word? Swavage, Swavage, Swavage. Let's stitch that.
Sauvage. Savaginal? Hey, speaking of Savaginal, if you're watching us on YouTube, please like this video. And if you'd like to make a comment about how you would pronounce Swagvaginal, please do that, because the algorithm loves comments. It makes it think our content is worthwhile. Oh, Ricochet Rita, you're commenting right now, aren't you? I love you, Ricochet Rita. Thank you for commenting. If you want to go ahead and give the channel a follow, that couldn't hurt. Follow the channel, then you can ring that notification bell. ding da ding dang do, so you'll know whenever we release something. Or you can be old school and you can just listen to us on audio and you won't see my lovely facial expressions.
Yeah, and if you're listening to us on audio, give us 5 stars or a thumbs up or whatever your app of choice uses. Reviews are great, and please make sure you're subscribed. If you wanted to benefit or support us in another way that is a little more direct, you can go to patreon.com/talking about the big stuff. You can subscribe there for free, but there's also paid options, which gets you the show early, gets you uncensored stuff.
Wow, that must be really expensive.
It isn't necessarily. It's $1 a month for the cheapest, which gets you the show 4 days early every week.
I'm cheap. I can do that.
And that's $1 a month. $3 a month gets you some uncensored or less censored content. And $10 a month gets you shit that we really shouldn't let you get for $10 a month.
Oh, the kind of stuff that makes you roll up in a fetal ball afterwards saying, why did I pay? Why did I listen?
No, more of the stuff that like people could use to make our lives miserable because it's cancelable or or whatever.
You asked for it, $10 patrons.
So yeah, if you go to patreon.com/talking about the big stuff, you can listen on the day that it comes out for free. It just is supporting us by subscribing there. But obviously, there's all those paid options. If you are interested on my side project that I've just begun, I started a Substack, which is michaelchristophercole.com michaelchristophercole.substack.com.
When you have 17 social media accounts and Substacks and stuff, it's hard to keep them straight.
Yeah, actually, no. It was 17 as of an hour ago when we recorded our last episode. I've upped it to 23.
Nice.
Because I have one for both my left and right testicles. So we're
23, huh?
Yeah, 23 and me. That's why it's all my DNA stuff.
Makes sense.
Anyway, so on that Substack, I'm doing it's where I write, and anything that I write will end up there to some extent or another. And we'll cut away. Matthew has something left to say.
I got a quick take first. I'm going to say, I want everyone to know, I know you guys hear us talk about Alex all the time and our producer and how much we love him. But I will say that when he's just showing a profile on our video chat, he looks a little bit like Corey Feldman.
Nice.
And then after saying that, I just want to thank everybody who stayed here long enough to listen to that and to talk about the big stuff so we can appropriate your culture.
Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. It's just the beginning. If you have thoughts or questions or topics you'd like us to tackle in a future episode, drop us a line on our social media channels. Engage with this video when you are now watching it as a VOD on YouTube. Send us an email. We love hearing from our listeners, bringing us topics, because if you leave it up to the three of us, we're going to eventually be talking about underwater basket weaving. So we would appreciate you guys reaching out a little bit. Don't forget to subscribe to Talking About the Big Stuff on your favorite platform. Give us a 5-star rating. Engage with it. Criticize us. We need to grow and be better, and you're going to help us be there. You're going to help us get to that point. It really helps us more to reach out and also to keep the conversation going. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more big ideas and more thought-provoking discussions. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep talking about the big stuff.
The preceding podcast has been a Chocolate Diamond Media LLC production. Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.